the benefit of that is just deeper spiritual release, trauma healing, enhanced self-awareness. It just allows us to get into this like altered state of consciousness where we really lose touch with our identification of the physical world, and we're more in that like the in-between world.
Can't be contained.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Can't Be Contained podcast. I'm super excited for this episode. And before we dive into today's episode, which is really going deep into the surprising benefits of breathwork, I want to let you guys know that it is so dang hot here in San Diego today. And so recording this podcast with all of my windows closed, it was just like not an option today. So if you hear the neighborhood sounds like the dog that doesn't stop barking, or the train that, choo-choos, what am I, 6 choo-choos? The train that honks, what is it called? You know what I mean? That goes, meh, meh. What the heck is that called? Whatever, you know what I mean? You might hear some of that. You might hear Eric on a sales call downstairs. But either way, hi, we are here and there's some airflow in this office. So we're winning. Today we're going to get into just going a little bit deeper into, we're going to talk about the science of breathwork. We're going to talk about the 2 primary techniques that we do at Pause Breathwork and why you should use one over the other or both or in conjunction with each other. And we're going to kind of talk about, when the brain and body kind of goes into that altered state of consciousness. And if we don't want that, how to really make sure that we are using breathwork in an intentional way. So we're staying in our zone of consciousness. So I'm super excited for this episode. Let's get right into it. This episode is brought to you by the Pause Breathwork Facilitator Program, our flagship 6-month journey to turn you into a masterful breathwork facilitator. Not only is this journey just the most powerful spiritual development journey, because it's kind of got to be that way. It's like when you're learning a new tool that is so sacred and has such an impact on the somatic body, in order to teach it effectively, we have to go through the journey ourselves. And so the Pause Breathwork Facilitator Program, half of it is really just a personal development journey for you, a spiritual development journey for you, a journey where you are using your breath as your own healer every single day for 6 months straight. And then in addition to that, of course, we are teaching you how to become a trauma-informed, masterful breathwork facilitator that really knows how to change the world, really knows how to create transformation. So if this is something that's been on your heart for a little while, head over to pausebreathwork.com/facilitator. That's pausebreathwork.com/facilitator. All right, you guys, at the timing of recording this episode, we are 26 days away from the wedding. Oh my gosh. It was so interesting. Yesterday we did a site visit, a venue visit for like where we're getting married. And there was like our caterers and our like florist person and our wedding planner. And like, I was like, this is such a big production. And then there is this like interesting, like emotional wave where I would like get like so excited, like this is going to be the best thing ever. And then I'm like, oh, whoa, this is like a lot. And, I keep asking myself, if I was to start over and do it again, would I do it exactly how I did it? And the answer is yes, because I'm just so excited to be with all of my favorite people for 3 days in our favorite location, just having such a great time. So yeah, we're super excited. We're at that like weird stage where it's like all of the tiny little details are like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And as much as I care so much about design and aesthetics, there is a part of me that's like, it's so many decisions. So we're getting through it. And I know we're going to look back on this time and just be grateful that we went through it. I keep saying to Eric, because he's so involved. Like, it's so funny. Like all of my wedding planners and florists and stuff, they're like, we've never seen a groom that is this involved. Like Eric is so involved in like every little detail. I mean, design is his thing, right? Architecture is his thing. Creating epic experiences is his thing. So the wedding is like a heyday for all of that. So it's just been so fascinating to see, his preferences in certain things. And he has like such good ideas. You know, I'm like, hey, babe, this would be amazing. And then he's like, not really because of this, this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, oh man, you're so right. So it's just been so cool, like doing it as a team and planning the wedding as a team and designing it as a team. It's been so good. If you're not yet on the Pause newsletter, we just created a dope newsletter that goes out every single Sunday and basically just outlines everything that's happening at Pause, from new app releases to products to new content to partnerships to spotlighting our alumni and letting you guys know what they're up to. It's really amazing. If you're not on the newsletter and you want to be, just DM me the word newsletter and I'll send you the link to get on it. But it's just like it's like a weekly download of like everything that's going on at Pause. It's super rad. So if you want that, just let me know. All right, guys, the science of breathwork. Let's get into it. So, you know, Pause, we often talk a lot about like the emotional impact of breathwork, the spiritual impact of breathwork. And in today's episode, I want to go a little bit deeper into the science of breathwork and really what's happening on the body, right? And when people say, wow, what Eric said the other day, I found this to be hilarious. We did our morning routine down at the beach and we did Unlock Your Infinite Potential on the app. And what he said right after, he goes, why does it feel like God just gave me a handshake? And so this is what I explained to him. So when we are doing continual conscious breath work, what we're doing is we're mitigating the response of the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for our survival strategies. So we're not in the hyperactive sympathetic. We're able to drop a little bit deeper into our parasympathetic, and our survival strategies that are constantly on all the time are a little bit more chilled out. So that is why we get those like esoteric, beautiful, ethereal, gorgeous, fairy-like, God handshaking type of energies, is because the survival strategy, the protection, the defense in our system is not offline, but it's a little bit more chill. So let's talk about the regulation of the automatic nervous system. So breathwork activates, right, that parasympathetic nervous system, often referred to as the rest and digest, which leads to it helps counteract, it helps really shut off that fight or flight like we just talked about. So it allows us to mitigate the response of the amygdala. The fight or flight softens, the sympathetic softens, and then of course that leads to reduced stress, lower heart rate, and just this overall feeling of calm. Whenever I feel I'm in an anxious state, a hypervigilant state, there's many things spinning around, I'll just do like 3 minutes of breath work with a top hold. So, and on that top hold, I'll breathe in through my nose all the way to the top, and I'll actually squeeze every muscle, every ab, every bicep, and I'll visualize this energy shooting up through all of my energy centers and expanding out into the stars. And it allows that energy to flow through the body, and then just releasing after that. So breathwork improves oxygenation and cellular function, right? So the act of controlled breathing, or conscious breathing, whatever you want to call it, increases the oxygen supply to the body, right? So oxygen is what we breathe in. CO2 is what we breathe out. When we breathe in that oxygen into the body, it's really supportive for our cellular health, right? And our energy production, ATP. So this can improve our overall performance, our mental clarity. It allows us to go from that state of like, kind of like brain foggy, of like, oh, I'm kind of like, I feel brain foggy, I don't feel like quite clear, into a place of just calm, where the place that I love getting to in breath work is where my body is excited and charged and my mind is totally calm. So that I have like clarity in my thoughts, but my body is just vibing with energy. And from that place, I can really make decisions that are advantageous for me. So the next one is the reduction of cortisol levels. So studies have shown that certain breathwork practices can significantly reduce cortisol, the primary stress hormone, right? So when we're feeling stress, a lot of times that's cortisol. Lower cortisol levels are associated with decreased anxiety, improved mood, and actually immune system as well, better immune function. So allowing ourselves to get out of that stress response into a place of safety. And at Pause, we talk a lot about establishing a foundation of safety, right? We actually cannot have transformation if we don't have safety. And oftentimes, this is where mindset work gets it wrong, where the body is actually feeling incredibly unsafe. And then the mind's like, we can do this. Let's go. Life is going to be amazing. I'm amazing. You're amazing. Everything's amazing, right? And we get into these like really adrenaline driven states. But if the body is not on board, once the adrenaline wears off, or the epinephrine wears off, which is essentially just adrenaline in your brain, then we go back to what the body believes is true. And so lowering that response and allowing ourselves to get into our body and slowly allow the body to feel safe will actually create sustainable transformation, not this like adrenaline transformation, which we're used to with mindset work. The next one is activation of the vagus nerve. So breath work stimulates the vagus nerve, which creates a role in regulating internal organ function, right? So digestion, heart rate, inflammation, etc. This activation can improve emotional regulation and overall well-being. So the vagus nerve has something called the vagal tone, and the stronger, quotation marks, this is like layman's terms, the stronger the tone is in that vagus nerve, the more the body can shift into regulation and well-being. So breath work done over time, slowly strengthening that vagal tone by activating the vagus nerve, the body just naturally feels safer. The next one is alteration of brainwave states, right? So brain, like God giving Eric a little handshake, breathwork can shift brainwave patterns. And so that promotes states of relaxation, heightened awareness. So a lot of techniques. And in order to do this, by the way, guys, we don't have to do the very intense, rapid, fast type of breathwork sessions. Even like the slowest in through the nose, out through the mouth can increase alpha waves. And alpha waves are associated with relaxation. And gamma waves are linked to heightened perception and consciousness. So really using the breath to shift our brain waves is really powerful. I actually, a couple of years ago, I did an EEG, I think that's what it's called, where I could do breath work and I could actually see my brainwaves, and it was so cool. And that's where I learned that we don't have to do the fast, rapid ones in order to shift the brainwaves. We can, like all types of conscious controlled breathing, shifts brain states in some way. All right, so that leads me into the two types of breath work. When people say like, okay, Sam, what type of breath work should I do? And I always say like, it all depends on the outcome. And one of the biggest things that I'll say is, and I've shared it already in this podcast, but intensity does not equal transformation. So just because the breath is fast, rapid, deep, like I'll give you an example, like so that's called the triactive breath using the mouth. That's basically like the most intense, like level 3, right? That's the most intense breath work we can do. We can shift that a little bit to 2 in through the nose, 1 out. And what that does is it lowers the amount of oxygen that's coming into the body, which allows the breath journey to not be as intense. So depending on what you desire, right? So the first type is integrative breath work. This is shorter, more focused practice designed to really boost energy, regain focus. It's integrative breath work is anything that is under 8 minutes, okay? Anything that is under 8 minutes. So this is the type of breath work we do when we're in between meetings, or that first, 5 minutes in the morning, or the 5 minutes in the evening, or if something is driving us crazy and we just want to like clear the energy, use integrative breathwork under 8 minutes. Now, it doesn't matter what breathwork technique you do. The classification of integrative is basically meaning you're integrating it into your day and it's not taking you, into a different zone of consciousness. Now, meditative breath work is anything over 8 minutes. The reason why we did this, again, we studied with an EEG and we realized that after that 8 minutes, that's when we sort of lose touch with reality and go into a different zone, if you will. So you don't necessarily want to do this if you only have like, minimal time. Meditative breathwork is longer and more immersive. People are engaged in deep conscious breathing. It's when people are lying down. It's best to do lying down. And again, the benefit of that is just deeper spiritual release, trauma healing, enhanced self-awareness. It just allows us to get into this like altered state of consciousness where we really lose touch with our identification of the physical world, and we're more in that like the in-between world. I love doing this type of breath work, but it's not necessary all the time. What's necessary for me all the time is integrative breath work. I do it first thing when I wake up, last thing when I go to bed. I just love it, right? Meditative breath work is, you don't have to do so much of it all the time. If like, I've been doing breath work now for like 15 years. And so I've built up a lot of capacity in my system. So even when I do 20 minutes of breath work, I don't always see aliens in past lives. But if I do it for like an hour, I will. So just like really feel out in your body what feels best and what breath work is best for you. It's not like, hey, here's this one thing. This is the one thing to do. It's like really, breath work so much is like a dance. And it's really about learning our body moment by moment, and the breath pattern and the length and duration that was great for me yesterday might not be great for me today, right? And so that's why we've designed the app to be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes, and 45 minutes. So yes, you can do those breath techniques that are 25 and 45 and kind of blast off a little bit. But the majority of people who use the app and, just do breath work every day are not doing those like big long ones. So depending on what you desire, depending on what you want, just start to steal pockets of time in your day where you can do some breath work. You can take that 3 minutes, that 5 minutes, plug on the app, do whatever you need to do to just like reset, recalibrate. It's like an emotional shower. It's like when I'm feeling a little like antsy and ADD and just like all over the place, I'm like, okay, let me just jump in the cold plunge. That's like one of the things that I do to like get myself out of that state. Breathwork is the same thing, right? It's like I'm filling my body full of the good stuff and I'm releasing and letting go of anything that's holding me back. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope you're having an amazing day. If you found this useful, please let me know by writing a review. It helps so much. I can't even tell you how much it helps. So if you could write a review, give us 5 stars and let us know what you loved about this. Take a screenshot of your review, send it to support@pausebreathwork.com, and we will send you a niche clarity workshop. So if you are a breathwork facilitator, a life coach, whatever it is, and you're like, I just don't know what niche to go into, what niche to go into. Some people say niche, some people say niche. So whatever, choose your own adventure. Take a screenshot, show us your review. We'll send you that for free. All right, you guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.